Happy Monday. I have a beautiful story, and this one comes from a documentary called It's a Miracle. And it's the amazing story of hope that against all odds, dreams do come true. The Olympic torch is a symbol that has survived throughout history to represent the athletic and physical achievements of mankind. But during this story, the flame is not burning for mankind, but for one young woman whose courage won her a place in Olympic history. And this story serves as a reminder for all of us who have a dream, the miracles can happen. And if this story doesn't touch your heart, then I don't know what will. I hope you enjoy the story. When Kelly Lewis was 7 years old, her parents, John and Nancy, took her to see the Olympic torch as it made its way to the 1984 Games in Los Angeles. On that day, a dream was born. On that day, the Lewis got there early so they could have a spot right in front. They were beginning with the advanced torch runners, and Kelly was crying. The runner noticed the little girl on the curve crying and handed her the torch to hold. It was a moment seared into Kelly's memory. As Kelly recalls, it was pretty exciting being the only person in the crowd who got to hold it. Holding the torch in her small hands, Kelly made a big decision and said, "This is what I want to do. I want to run in the Olympics." The love for the Olympics stayed with Kelly from there out. She never missed one. She watched every single opening ceremony. From that day of her promise, Kelly kept running, and by the time she was a freshman in high school, she was way out front and winning. Freshman year was great. Kelly kept winning races and had a great cross-country season and went to track and was still winning races. But then she was having a problem with her knees, and she had to have surgery between her freshman and sophomore year. She never got her times back at running, and her parents just assumed that it was due to her knees. But there was a much more serious problem, which they wouldn't discover until the second race in her sophomore year. As Kelly relates, "I had beaten these girls in previous seasons, and I was right there with them and felt that my heart was palpitating. I didn't know what it was, but it felt a little weird. I was trying so hard to keep up with them, running as fast as I could, but I just couldn't make it." Nancy, Kelly's mother, could tell by her face that something was terribly wrong. Kelly crossed the finish line and collapsed. Kelly kept saying there was something wrong with her heart because it hurt. Nancy rushed her daughter to the emergency, where our cardiologist performed a battery of tests. The results could hardly have been worse. The doctor explained that Kelly had 4 problems, and any of them could have been fatal. He said that she had no wall between the upper chambers of her heart. She had a double cleft malformation of the mitral valve. She had a mononucleosis virus in her heart, and it was swelling 3 times its normal size. So 4 major problems, any of which could kill anyone just walking. And Kelly had been running 6 miles a day with all 4 of those issues. Kelly's life was hanging by a thread. She underwent immediate open heart surgery, and it was an amazing success. Just 4 days later, Kelly was back at home under strict orders to remain in bed. But Kelly was determined to run. She ignored her doctor's advice, pinned her drainage bags to her sweats, and went back to training. Kelly ran her first race after surgery in September. She finished well behind the rest of the runners, but her family was just happy that she didn't die. After the surgery, Kelly realized that she wasn't going to win and that she was not going to be the fastest, but the one thing she could do was finish the race. So from that point onward, that became Kelly's new goal, that she will finish every single race. But unbeknownst to Kelly, she had many lingering problems that would have made any other person give up. After the surgery, Kelly found out that she had developed severe asthma. All the years of the mitral valve was sending blood back into her lungs and just made a mush. So even though her heart was fixed, now her lungs were the problem. Her parents knew that if she kept running, it would be dangerous, but she kept at it. Not only did Kelly kept running, but in spite of her enormous setbacks, she began to recover her speed and her dreams. Until another tragedy struck. Kelly would need a miracle to even survive the horrific car accident. Kelly's team was returning from a track practice. Kelly gave up her seat to another teammate and sat on the floor of the van. In the next instant, they hit an incoming vehicle, sending the van rolling, and Kelly was not wearing a seatbelt. At 50 miles per hour, the van flipped 4 to 6 times, so the worst could be expected. One just doesn't survive an accident like that. Amazingly, Kelly came through her near-death experience with only broken bones and bruises. But Kelly's survival was not the only good news that day. The entire team went home that night. No one was killed or hospitalized from it. And for that kind of an accident, it was a real miracle. When she was well enough, Kelly returned to running, but it was becoming impossible for her to compete. Her dream seemed out of reach. And then the Lewis family learned that the Olympic Torch Committee was accepting applications to relay the torch on its way for the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. The deadline was the next day, so John wrote a letter. Now it was almost a week before the torch run and still no word. Her parents were beginning to get discouraged and felt that it was just one more blow to their daughter. And then it happened. One day, returning home, there was something in the mail. Unbelievably, Kelly's dream had become true. She would run in the Olympics after all. When the committee bus arrived and Kelly got off the bus to be handed the torch, the crowd was screaming and the signs, "Go Kelly, go Kelly," was a great moment. Remembering how much it meant to her when she was a child, Kelly took a moment to let another little girl hold the torch. Maybe she sparked another dream as she started her Olympic run that day. When Kelly passed the torch down was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You just can't describe the feeling. It was a moment that the Lewis family had never expected to see. There were so many things that she should not have lived through. She should not have been running. She should not have been winning races. So all of this was a miracle. In the words of Kelly,
life is too short, life is too precious. We never know what will happen to us or what trials we will face. I know that no matter what, that I will be able to try, and if I'm not exactly first, then that's okay. I'm making a difference. I'm achieving something that I never thought I would get the chance to do.
I just love this story because it is about the triumph of the human spirit. This girl went from one defeat after another just to achieve her dreams. So it's an incredible testimony of the human spirit and will to achieve in spite of a bad heart and weak lungs. And given that today is Monday, the first day of the week, let that be your theme. Every day this week, reconnect with your dreams. Let this story be the torch that rekindles your dreams. Nothing is impossible for the human spirit. I hope you have enjoyed this story. Remember to subscribe to my storytelling channel, and I will see you next Monday with another beautiful and inspirational story. In the meantime, stay grateful, stay safe, and don't give up on your dreams because miracles do happen. See you next week.